And here we are, spawning into the upper left. In the red for Kaiser Gaming. He's Innovation. And in the bottom right, in the blue, representing a team clash, the Italian Stallion. He's REYNOR. And REYNOR, Innovation have played some incredible series over the last year. It does feel like Innovation has kind of had REYNOR's number. In some really big series, he knocked him out of TSL with some really fancy fake bunker rushing. Back when Zen was a map, when you had that really scary low ground, high ground bunker rush type thing. Did some other cool stuff. So Innovation does feel like one of the Terran players that can actually take games off of REYNOR in a year where REYNOR has had dominant, absolutely dominant ZVT. Where REYNOR has forced Innovation in a matchup that really has not changed for years. He has introduced new styles in the matchup consistently over the course of the entire year and just dominated with them. Played styles that pretty much no other player could play. When he first introduced the Lurker style, it was like, yeah, REYNOR's doing this, but he's the only one that can do it because he can get so much done with his Zerglings. And then players kind of started to realize that, maybe this is pretty good. Maybe we play this a little bit differently, and that happens. But it was a solid 6 months before anyone else adopted that style. So that's just kind of the level of skill, the level of dominance that REYNOR has showed in this matchup in particular, but also in this year. I mean, he won multiple season finals. He won multiple Europe finals. Oh, we got a bunker coming on in here, and Innovation. Well, if he gets this up, it's going to be really annoying. But at the very least, he's trying to force REYNOR to maybe think that this is a bunker rush. But no, with the one bunker here, with the only one SCV, this is just going to be annoying for the Reaper. And now the Reaper will find its way across the map. And this bunker realistically should not complete. As now REYNOR, he's going to go take his third base. He has the money for it. There we go. The bunker will get canceled. And now REYNOR, he's taking that third base at like 25 supply pieces. He says, okay, I just want to make sure I get this done. I don't want to get it blocked. I don't want to worry about that whatsoever. And REYNOR actually almost going to get a surround on the Reaper here, but Innovation, a little bit too fast. Will be able to force that back as he tries to just start putting some damage on the drones here. But realistically, I don't expect REYNOR to lose any Zerglings or drones, and I don't expect Innovation to get anything, just kind of with how the micro goes, with how things like that go. And you got to remember, both these players, they're dealing with more than their usual amount of ping. As this is an international competition. I don't know whether this was REYNOR's server pick or whether this was Innovation's, but even then, even if it is REYNOR's server, quote-unquote, it's still worse ping than what he deals with when he is playing on North America. And I know he was absolutely dealing with ping issues when he played Bunny in the opener of this series. So, something to look out for here, but REYNOR, of course, still an absolutely dominant player. Had some incredible online results this year, and we're going to have to see what happens. Now, Innovation, going for a 3cc play here. Pretty much the fastest third command center you can get. Third command center even before the starport goes down. Maybe even before the factory goes down. I wasn't totally paying attention to that. But that means Innovation, while he does not have really tons of early pressure here on the map, doesn't really care, as he will be absolutely able to just have this dominant economic engine. He will be able to keep up with REYNOR's mass droning. And, well, we're going to have to see exactly how he decides to tilt that in his favor, what his plan to make use of that powerful economic engine is in this game. Most likely it's Bio. Innovation has gone through periods where he really loves mech, has gone through periods where he really loves Bio, and it does feel like he is more on a Bio swing at this point in time, and especially with how the maps are going, it does feel like he's much more on a Bio swing in this current meta. That being said, though, Romanticide is not a bad mech map, so we might see that there, but it's only 2 gas. It's at 413. Unless we see 2 more gases get added in like the next 20 seconds, I don't really see it. I don't really think we're going to see that here. But we do now have an armory on the way. And so we're going to see Hellbat pressure coming on in here with a medevac, a couple Hellions, which will, of course, turn into Hellbats. So we're going to see 8 Hellbats moving on their way on in. And REYNOR's just going to have to defend this. Now, he does have a decent amount of Queens. And this is not a Marine Hellbat, nothing like that. This is just a pure Hellbat pressure. And that is honestly the least powerful version of this. Is REYNOR doing a really good job blocking that off. Hellions will not get the run by. And it's funny, you look at that, you're like, oh, of course he gets that block off. That is something that is really hard to do. And you definitely see pro players mess it up a good bit. But REYNOR, he says, you know what? I'm not waiting for that last second block. I'm just going to do it right now, and it's going to be fine. But now we do have Hellbats, or the Hellbat potential is now here. Medevac's on the way. And actually, Zerglings are going to look to get onto this round here, and Medevac should be able to pick up a decent amount of these, save them from this round. But now all the Zerglings are dead, and we're going to see 2 Marines, but more importantly, tons and tons of Hellbats. 8 Hellbats marching their way on into the 3rd base here, as we have more and more Zerglings on the way. Now, no Baneling Nest. Not yet, so this will have to be a purely Queen Zergling defense, but 1 Hellbat already getting really low. And Innovation, he's just not going to get anything done with us. Now, yeah, with the Queens, they got the full-on spread here. Would like to see Reynor maybe target down the low Hellbats, but he's not going to do that quite yet. And there we go, 1 Hellbat does go down, and we do have more Hellions, more Marines joining this pressure. So it's 3 Marines instead of 2 is, yeah, Reynor, he's going to get this round on the backhand side. A couple of these Hellbats will die before they can join the healing pressure of the main Terran army. Join that big death ball, and now Zergling surrounding. Is Reynor even going to lose a Queen? Reynor's not going to lose a Queen. Reynor with the great micro there. Everything goes down, and yeah, there's a Liberator in the main base, but this is Reynor here. He will lose that Queen, and that's unfortunate. So he will lose a Queen on the backside, on the back end of this, and a couple of drones that pop at an unfortunate time. But that's just going to be about it. Not really any significant damage whatsoever. Reynor holding this with aplomb. Didn't even really scout it until it happened. But it's like, you know what, Innovation, don't do that to me. Reynor was one of those players that really showed that you don't need Banelings, you don't need Roaches, you don't need anything like that to really hold this type of pressure. All you got to do is spread your Queens and pump some Lings to be able to immobilize the Hellbats for the time being, and you just kind of kill everything off. You don't even need to really target down the Medevacs all that fast, because the Medevac, once it's out of energy, I mean, what's it gonna do? Alright, so now we see the logic that drove Reynor to take this base coming to fruition. He will be able to remove a decent amount of the rocks that caused so many issues for any sort of ensuing tank push. So the one set of rocks that are just the really problematic ones will go down, and we're going to see Reynor cycle on over to the rock wall. Maybe. I mean, that rock positioning is not nearly as impactful, but the rocks around the doodad do just really make for some scary pushes. So Reynor, you will be able to remove that. And interestingly enough, Innovation did decide to build a decent amount more of Hellbats in this game, as he has decided to go. This is something that Beyond has been experimenting with, to some effect. Not incredible, not terrible. But instead of going mass Widow Mine, although I do believe Innovation has transferred into Widow Mines here, yeah, we do 4 Widow Mines on the map, more and more on the way. Innovation has really been experimenting with this Hellbat, or Innovation and Beyond have been really experimenting with this Hellbat bulk of the army. So instead of going just pure Widow Mine Marine, you get a bunch of Hellbats. Eventually you go into Blue Flame, although I don't think that's what we're going to see here. I think this is just, we bought some extra Hellions. We're going to turn into Hellbats because we have the expenditure, and we're going to go from there. Now the Widow Mine will go off, and a couple of these Queens will get targeted down really quickly. That's not a fight that Reynor really wanted to do. Does not really want to lose all those Queens, but 3 Queens, 4 hold. I think he's going to take it. As, yeah, that's absolutely going to be a hold here. Innovation's going to be swept the map, and he will save the SCV, though. The Wandering SCV will go away. So 2-2 is now on the way here for Reynor. Just about halfway done, actually. Baneling speed is closer to being done than not done. And Reynor looks like he's just going to stick onto this, well, the Widow Mine will go off once again. He's going to stick on this Ling Bane style for the moment, as he is building himself a really big bank, as a lot of his Queens sitting at the front. Now he does have a macro edge that's now done. So he's sitting here on 6 total hatcheries, 5 bases. Or excuse me, 4 bases. Yeah, no, 5 total bases. 5 bases, 6 hatcheries. I can count. It's fine. And now Reynor, we're going to see him do, well, he's not going to look to sweep Innovation from the map. He does understand that this is a committed push, as Innovation is on 8 racks here in this game. So this is Innovation kind of going all in here. We're not going to see a 4th base for a while. So Reynor, he's not going for this big committed push that is go big or go home. We're just going to see him go run some amount of Zerglings, Banelings into the army of Innovation over and over again, just holding him on the edge of the creep, trying to trade as efficiently as possible. Meanwhile, he's establishing his economy behind. He's on 98 workers here. That's a lot of workers. That being said, though, Innovation, he is doubling the army supply of Reynor. So, yeah, Reynor's almost doubling the worker count. Army supply, though, it's also an important thing. That Baneling will just hit it, or that Widow Mine will just hit a massively long shot. And this Zergling run by will not be able to really get on top of the rally here of Innovation. Innovation now going to be forced back. And you got to remember here, Innovation, he is on 3 bases. He's not going on to 4 bases for quite a while. Now, these Widow Mine burrows will be nice, but not get there in time. REYNOR targeting them down with his banelings immediately. And now REYNOR, he's got 2-2, only 1-1 for innovation here, so this is just a really powerful timing where REYNOR now can maybe run his way across the map. But notice only one set of minerals has been mined out of this wall, and this is really cool. That means that innovation can just wall this off really easily. He can drop a couple widow mines there, and it's just a fight that REYNOR cannot possibly take. But you remember how 30 seconds ago innovation was doubling the army supply of REYNOR? Well, the larva came in, the production came in, and now REYNOR, he's just about even with the army supply of innovation. He's just taken one good fight, and suddenly it's all even. So now the mutas will find this drop on the... Actually, no, they won't. They will not find this drop on the left-hand side. So, like 2 ships passing the night, we will have REYNOR, his mutas, finding their way on into the natural. And do we have any missile turrets on in here? We do not, so the mutas are going to get a lot of damage done on an already all-in innovation. Innovation dropping down to 57 workers, but REYNOR, he's at 100 workers. He's at 100 workers. I'm also not sure how he's at 100 worker supply, 93 army supply, and sitting here at 200 total supply. I guess queens, but don't queens count towards army supply? Anyway, the mutas will take a fairly good fight here, losing a couple of their number, but 11 workers do go down, and innovation now here on 55 workers. Now he does have this drop in the main base, and this is a powerful one. He does have to worry about, or REYNOR does have to worry about losing his spawning pool, and that will get targeted down. REYNOR does need to just go rebuild that immediately. So maybe if innovation doesn't take the best fight, he's got to be worried here. But REYNOR's going to sweep around from every side. The drop will get cleaned up, and the spawning pool does not go down. So there we have a GG. REYNOR, he holds the 8 racks. He's going to take game number 1. REYNOR 1 game away from finding his way on into the playoffs. Innovation 1 game away from elimination, but this is a best of 3 for a reason. Both players have every opportunity to find their way back into the series. It's not a one and done. It's not a best of 1. Although best of 1 and losers brackets can be really spicy. Of course, in StarCraft, with how this game goes, you really do want a best of 3, best of 5, just so you can see who is truly better. One game does not exactly tell you all that you need to know about that. That being said, though, we have game number 1. Excuse me, game number 2. It's all loaded up. Let's get on into it. And here we are, spawning in the upper right. In the red, down 1 game to 0 for Kaiser Gaming. Give it up for innovation. And in the bottom left, in the 0, the Italian Stallion, the young top of the world Zerg player. Up 1-0 in the series. Give it up for REYNOR. So game number 1, innovation. He went for the 8 racks. REYNOR somehow got up to 100 workers while holding an 8 racks, which is really hard to do. Finding those droning windows when your opponent is just leaning into you so hard with 12 Marines at a time, that is really hard to do. And REYNOR doing it with utmost aplomb. Says, you know what? It's an 8 racks. I can deal with this. I'm going to go up to 100 workers. It's fine. I'm going to get ahead of you in upgrades. I'm going to go into mutas. I'm going to eviscerate your economy. I'm going to hold your push. And I'm going to win the game. That is exactly what we saw there. And now innovation. He's down 1 game in this series, but certainly not out. We're going to have to see what his plan is to find his way back in, to go into game 2, to take us to game number 3. This is going to be a Reaper expand to start things off. Nothing weird from either player. No semblance of an all-in, no semblance of a proxy. And this is a rather late scout coming on in from innovation. This is kind of the latest scout with an SCV that is actually kind of useful. People see that I actually see the perfect timing of that hatchery. So he says, okay, well, this is no pool first. I know the hatchery's here. And then the SCV is going to go home. This will be no hatchery block shenanigans coming in from the Korean Terran player. Doesn't really need to. Not really worth it. Not in the build. So there are some builds that do bring a hatch block into things. But innovation, he's all about streamlined builds. All about just getting to this economic advantage as quick as possible. And with that being the case, well, you don't go hatch block. You want your SCV back and mining as quick as possible. Now, good micro here from REYNOR, good micro here from innovation as well, and it looks like a Zergling will go down, and that is kind of the math, that's kind of the calculus you're looking at. If you go for 4 Zerglings, you do expect to lose 1 or 2. And if you don't, great. REYNOR, of course, went for 4 Zerglings in game number 1, didn't lose a single one, but you expect to lose like 1 or 2. If you go for 6 Zerglings, you don't expect to lose any. But REYNOR, he's confident enough in his Zerglings that he doesn't really feel the need to do that. Oh, that was fancy. We did see, of course, innovation. He lifts his factory just a second so his SCV can take a faster path to build his Starfort faster, which is just the smallest of things and really buys him like 1 second, half a second. But he's innovation, and he's nothing if not an efficient player. So that's just a really cool little bit of something you don't see all that often. So now we do have REYNOR going with a decent amount of static defense early on. I'm not exactly sure what he saw that made him think that. We do not have an armory on the way, and this is going to be a marine drop coming in here, coupled with a couple Hellions moving across the map. But REYNOR now taking that opportunity, he says, you know what, look, if you're going to move your army across the map here, I have Queens, I have a Spine, I have a Spore. I'm going to be mostly okay. I actually have enough Zerglings at home too. I'm just going to go and I'm going to cancel your third base. Now the Hellions will find their way here. And that does mean that the third base will not get canceled. Actually, no, REYNOR's going to get on into the main base. And he gets a full-on scout here. Oh, that's nice here for the Italian player. He will see exactly what Innovation's up to. Maybe get a couple more workers, only 2. But realistically, getting 2 workers, forcing the Hellions back, getting on into the main base, getting a full scout of things. Well, that is worth far more than the 12 Zerglings that he spent to make that defense. Now, Innovation's going to continue to shark on the edge of things, looking to see whether he can maybe knock off an Overlord, remove some creep, all of these things that are useful, that are impactful, that allow him to maybe take a good position into the mid-game. But they're not game-ending. They're not, wow, he did this so he wins the game. But they're also not, well, he failed to do this so he loses the game. Just, you know, minor little bits of damage, as spoonerisms are a thing. And yeah, the Hellions will not be able to find their way on in here. So now this drop will get picked up here, and I do like this. So notice Innovation, this is something we saw players really start to experiment with once we saw the creep tumor change, once creep tumors were changed to light. And we've seen a couple players just go on and build a Raven and move them out with the Hellions, and suddenly you have a really cheap creep control utility. You don't have to spend scans on it anymore, which means your economy can really start to snowball. And you kind of go from there. So Innovation stem's just about done. 1-1 is a little bit further off, but 1-1 will time up with Combat Shield, which is kind of when you're hitting that first big timing anyways. More than just a little bit of pressure here. And REYNOR, for his part, Lair is on the way. Bailing speed as well. So Queens are going to do a good job. Their goal, of course, is to remove this Raven from the map, because that does mean that creep tumor is going to be the creep is going to be a lot safer. And the way Innovation's been playing, you want to be able to keep your creep safe. You want to make sure that it just doesn't stay, it doesn't just all die, and then suddenly you just have the Terran army able to siege up right outside of your third, which of course is Innovation's goal. He wants to be able to get a good siege up. He wants to be able to siege up as close to the third or fourth base as possible, and then things get scary. So now we do have Innovation going up to 5 racks here, but we're going to have to keep an eye on the production tab, whether he does decide to go up to a full 8 racks, or whether this is just going to be into a 4th base, into a more macro style. And REYNOR, well, we knew this was happening even before it happens. REYNOR going into Hydra Den behind this, going into a Lurker style. Pillars of Gold. He plays this Lurker style on Pillars of Gold more than any other map, as this is a really big run by. Looking to force Innovation back once again. Now, we do have Hellions behind the mineral line. That's a really nice move. And the Zerglings will be able to get on top of this eventually, but not before a decent amount of them do die. But now we do have all the mineral line. It's dead. It's Innovation here is forced to either run away or lose every SCP, and he will lose 8 SCPs here, which takes a little bit of the oomph out of this push. I mean, the push is still here. It's more powerful, but even if Innovation is able to get some workers done, It's not really going to be this impactful. So Baneling speed's done in 20 to 30 seconds. And up until that point, it's going to be difficult for Reynor to really affect a hold here. But look at this. We got a full-on flank coming on here with a bunch of Zerglings. They're going to look to sweep on in from a side just as soon as Baneling speed does finish, which is now in about 20 seconds, 15 seconds. Actually, no, not even. Zergling's going to sweep on in from behind. The tanks are going to get all surrounded here. But look at the auto turrets are going to do such a good job at tanking up so much of that Zergling aggro that, yeah, the tanks are going to go down. But that is just a lot of Terran army here sweeping on in. But with the Baneling flank, well, they will be forced to back up. And now, well, Innovation says, you know what? I got medevacs. I can go on into the main base. I can really force you to split your army in a difficult manner. Go high, go low, go high, go low, go high, go low. And, of course, see now, the army's on the high ground. And actually, Queens will do a really good job targeting one of those medevacs down. Medevac didn't have anything in it, though. And now, well, it's all the Raynors got on the defense on the low ground for the moment is a bunch of Queens, and they will die pretty fast. I mean, transfuses are a thing, but now they're just going to get targeted down. And Reynor, he will be able to clean this up eventually, but we're just going to see, once again, Innovation. He's going to pick everything up, maybe go back in the high ground, but now he's been forced away just enough here. Now the tank will get a full-on siege, get one nice shut off. So many Banelings go down in an instant. And Innovation, he's not going for the Iraqs, not this time. Going for double factory play. As Zerglings will find the army, will be forced back here. The run-by will not be successful. But yeah, Innovation going for double factory play. He has seen the fact that there are Hydras on the way here. And that will encourage him to go into those double factories, get a lot of tanks, and take this game a little bit later, because that lurker timing is pretty scary. Don't get me wrong. But if you get enough tanks, you're able to kind of survive, take your fourth base, start dropping all over the place maybe. Get yourself into mass tank ghosts, and that's where suddenly the lurker style, you can fight it as the Terran player. This is not 3 months ago where Zerg started really doing this in earnest, and Terran just started dying to it. Oh no, those medevacs! 3 of them are going to get targeted down! Well, 2 of them are going to die. What were those medevacs doing there? More importantly, what was Raynor's army doing there? I mean, that is just unfortunate for Innovation here. He will lose 16 Marines, 2 medevacs, and he will actually lose his 4th base as well. The Marines are going to, or the Zerglings are going to surround it. We'll just kill it here, no cancel. But this drop, they're actually not going to get a whole lot done either. Actually, you know what? With the good choke here, 9 workers will get targeted down, as Reynor a little bit late on the pull. Although the medevac will go down, so it will not be able to escape. Still 9 workers. Nice trade there for Innovation. He's getting a little bit of damage done. But now we have the Hive on the way. 2-2 ground attack just about done. Lurker Den now on the way. And in about a minute and a half, Reynor, he's going to have those lurkers. He's going to have those lurker upgrades. And it's going to be so much harder for him to get pushed into. So much harder. No Zerglings. Well, nice counterattack. Reynor, of course, he's known for his Zergling control. Known for just really finding these openings that no one else can really find. As he will go on in. And suddenly those Zerglings that were such a nice counterattack, well, they're potentially a surround here. Although not a lot of them. And now Innovation pushing in on this left-hand side. He will find this 5th base of Reynor. But Reynor, no. That's not, no. Absolutely not. You cannot push on into here. So Innovation, now that, of course, the big push, the real army is coming on in, and there are no Vipers out yet. There are no Lurkers out yet. So this is just going to be Hydroling Bane fighting out against a bunch of tanks with +1 tank attack, and Reynor will not be able to take that fight. He's down 30 army supply. And he's down 2 upgrades. But in 8 seconds, he will have dealt with the upgrade differential for the moment. And Innovation, well, he is stuck on the edge of creep. Now the Lurker Den is done. 8 Lurkers are on the way. Burrow is just about done. Seismic Spines are on the way. 3 Vipers are on the way. And Reynor, in just about 30 seconds, he's going to have what he needs. Not Seismic Spines yet, of course, but he will have Vipers. He will have Viper Energy on those and another 15. And that is when he will be able to make a really nice, easy hold. Abducts on top of the tanks, Blinding Clouds on top of the tanks, whatever he's looking for, he will be able to achieve. But this is a scary push, and the Lurkers, the Vipers, they're not out yet. Lurkers are not in position, and yeah, Reynor, he just got to give up the base, and I do like this. This is a good decision. This is not him saying, oh no, I need to make sure I don't die here. This is well, you know what? I'm just going to give up the base. I can expand on the right-hand side. I already have a hatchery up. Okay, and actually, really nice counterattack here. Will be able to be affected into the 3rd base of Innovation, as well as we will have a tank go down. Nice trade there from Reynor. But Innovation, he's got the Doom Drop into the main base. That is like 9 medevacs worth of Marines finding their way on into the main base here of Reynor. And Reynor, he does not have burrow speed. There's nothing on in here. So Marines are going to go on in. They're going to target just about everything they can. The Hive is going to go down, which means no more Vipers. The 3 Vipers that are on the map are all that we're going to see here. Parasitic Bombs on top of these medevacs are going to be really nice. But Innovation, he's going to spin most of them out. And most of the army will be able to escape here. 17 workers have died. The Hive has gone down, which means no lurker upgrades here. We have seismic spines done, but we will not see adaptive talons for a solid like 3 minutes. And adaptive talons are what make lurkers actually useful as defensive tools. Lurkers without adaptive talons, they control space. Lurkers with adaptive talons, they can be aggressive. They can actually react to the Terran player. So now Reynor, he's down 30 army supply. He's down 30 supply in total, actually. So same thing. And innovation, once again, he's going to drop into the main base here. These parasitic bombs are not going to be all... It's going to be okay. Not going to be incredible. And innovation, he's got to push on into the bottom right-hand side. That base is going to go down. Innovation, he's just now stomping out the economy of Reynor here. 8 workers will go down. The lurker den's going to go down. Reynor has to rebuild that. And sure, innovation's not going to get the building base, but he is getting everything else. He's going to target down a ton of banelings. Now sitting on top of the lurkers that are sitting on the ramp. But nope, you cannot do that for innovation. And no matter how good of a position you think you may be in, you can't do that. And now these tanks on the high ground will bolster the defense here from, or the attack, I guess I should say, of innovation, as now he's going to look to siege up onto the high ground, overlooking this low ground base from Reynor. And Reynor, his economy, it's in the dumps. He's lacking the hive. Now it's finally halfway done again, so he may be able to do that. These abducts are going to be pretty nice. We'll be able to remove this push from innovation for the time being. But the scary one is on the left. There are so many tanks here, and they're just slowly leapfrogging their way forward, finding their way into the range of the lurkers of the base. And now the tank, yeah, that tank will not even go down as the siege up does commence. Once again, the lurkers will be forced back, and another base go down. So Reynor, he's realistically mining on 1 base. Or he only has 1 new base. He's on 4 bases total. 10 out of 8 here on the natural. He's probably out of 14 on the 3rd base. And 16 out of 16 on the 4th base, of course. But innovation going for the doom drop. Once again, looks like innovation's going to be, or Reynor's going to be a little bit faster on the return. And this is not, he's actually not going to be able to siege up his tanks. So this is actually not a good move for innovation whatsoever. This is a massive mistake. These parasitic bombs on top of all the medevacs. 3 of them will go down. And yeah, there's no way innovation gets out of here. But he takes out the 4th base. He takes out this last mining base, this last new mining base of Reynor. So yes, innovation. He lost a lot in that main base. That was absolutely a mistake. Losing this base, though, is far more impactful for Reynor than innovation losing that little bit of his army that he dropped in the main base. As once again, innovation, he's going to take the fight. He's up 10 army supply. He is up 30 workers, actually. That's not something you see in late game TVs all that often. He will be able to knock that base out of Reynor. Reynor, he's got the bottom right base. But that's about it. A 3-base Zerg against a 6-base Terran. Does not feel good. That being said, though, innovation has forgotten +3 armor for a good portion of this game, and that's a little bit problematic when you're trying to deal with a heavily upgraded lurkers. But the lurkers not all that upgraded either. It's only +1 ground attack, and that is a lot of lurkers bolstering that defense. So we will have innovation go stem forward. He's going to split, and there's just not a whole lot of chaff to defend this wheat. So the lurkers will get targeted down here, and the tank's stemming up. This tank's sieging up. And this base will just go down. These, of course, +3 bio. It kills bases pretty fast. But now the lurkers will go forward. And this is a lot of lurkers here. But you've got to remember, every time Reynor spends lurkers, these are lurkers he really cannot afford to replace. As we do have random little drops here on top of the, well, just on creep. And innovation is going to stem on forward. This base is pretty vulnerable. And this base will go down. Reynor not even canceling it. He cannot afford that. In innovation, he's up 80 armies. He's up 80 supply. That is a massive supply lead for the machine. And now, yes, there are going to be some abducts. Some of these tanks are going to go down. But Reynor, he has to continue to make these good trades. He has to keep making trades where he doesn't spend much at all, and he gets so much. But now innovation, he's found the army before the lurkers burrow. So many more lurkers do die. And yeah, now innovation, he can't really take this fight for the moment. And we will see some abducts on top of these tanks. There we go. Another tank will go down. But the bio is powerful. The bio is strong. And 15 lurkers have died this game. Only one. Reynor's done such a good job of keeping these Vipers alive. Only 1 Viper has died in this game. That is insane. Generally, you just see Vipers go forward. The Terran targets them down, and that's that. But no, only 1 Viper has died this game. Very well done from Reynor, as he struggles to find his way back into this game. But now innovation, he's pushed on the left, he's pushed on the right. There are only 2 lurkers defending the base this time. And innovation, he's going to cycle around. He will not be able to get the base this time, but every time he goes forward, he gets damage done. Every time he does damage to the base, that means it's more likely that the next time that he pushes on in, the base goes down. So now innovation stemming on in. Once again, 1 lurker will go down. And I think that's going to be it. There's enough chaff there, but that's not going to be enough. GG, Innovation. He's going to take game number 2. We're headed to an ace match here to determine who gets out of Group C. REYNOR taking game number 1, holding the 8 racks. Innovation through unrelenting pressure, through excellent multitasking, taking game number 2. And now, well, game number 3. We're all excited. I'm certainly pumped. Let's get on in to game number 3. And here we are, spawning in the upper left. In the red for Kaizi Gaming for the last time. He's Innovation. And in the bottom right, in the blue, for Clash. Give it up for REYNOR. So, we're on Death Aura. This is a more defensive map. This is a map where it's relatively easy to take your 3 bases. A 4th base is also pretty defensible. Getting your 5th base, though, good luck with that. That becomes incredibly difficult to defend, which is a pretty cool map design decision. You get 4 free bases, but once the game goes past 12 minutes, you got to start taking that 5th, and that is where things become really hard as REYNOR. He's actually just sending his probe out, or his drone out, just making sure that Innovation's decided not to proxy in game number 3, because Innovation does have a long history of liking proxy Raxes, and specifically liking proxy Raxes against REYNOR. So REYNOR will find no proxy, and will return the drone home, taking a little bit of an economic hit, but not too much, not too bad. And we go on. Innovation, of course, Reaper Expand, 16, 18, 17 from the Blue Zerg player. And what we have to ask ourselves is, given the map, does REYNOR decide to go for mutas in this game? He was pretty successful with it in game number 1, really having that hidden muta timing that just annihilated the economy of Innovation and knocked him out of the game. Or does he go for this Hydro Lurker Viper style that has been so successful with over the previous months? I think because of the dead airspace on Death Aura, mutas are really good here. They're better here than on some other maps, say Submarine. Mutas are not good on Submarine for multiple reasons. But anyway, Submarine or Death Aura has so much dead airspace. It has so much room for the mutas to maneuver, to kind of ping pong around the bases. That's maybe what we see here, but REYNOR also, he's just really good at Hydro Lurker Viper, and he seems to like the style. Which is funny, because when he was getting interviewed when he was first starting to play it, he was like, I don't like this, I don't think it's very good, I just kind of play it because I have to sometimes. And which was clearly not true, because you see him smiling about it. He's winning all these games, and playing all this really cool style. But he didn't want his opponents to think that he actually thought it was good, I guess, so they wouldn't be afraid of it. But now, of course, the Reaper will find the 3rd base. No surprise there. REYNOR taking it at a decent timing. This is no 2-base muta game, nothing like that. No really quick flare. Of course, 3rd base going on just about 2832 supply. Totally fine. In Innovation, for his part, 3rd base went down at around 230. So this is a 3cc build, which actually, if REYNOR had decided to go for 2-base muta, would have been very good for him. Because 2-base muta is almost just directly a hard counter to 3-base builds, but that's a big but. 3 command center builds are not as quite in the meta as they used to be. They're still good, and they're still common, but there was a period of time through the first half of 2020 where it was pretty much every game. 230 3rd base, 230 3rd base, 230 3rd base. And every Terran was doing it, so you saw a lot of 2-base muta, because that was just a really good meta counter, because there's just not a whole lot to defend your bases when you get into that 3 hatchery position, or that 3 command center position. That being said, though, with the advent of these really interesting 3-base 2-1-1s, with the 2-1-1 coming on back, with more and more timing builds finding their way back into the Terran arsenal, going for that 2-base Muta style has just not been all that impactful. And innovation here, oh, he's doing something pretty cool, something that Reynor has not scouted. We have a second factory on the way. And this is not for mech. I don't believe this is for mech. This is not for some mass Widowmine, mass tank style. For those, you add the factory in after you've taken your 3rd base, even maybe after you've started your 4th. No, there's only one thing that's happening when you go for double factory like this. We're going to see Blue Flame Hellions come on in for innovation here in this game number 3, as he does start Mag Field Accelerator for half a second, but that is not the play whatsoever. Now the Zergling will scout that there's a 3rd base. It says, okay, innovation, he's gone for a greedy play. I can be greedy as well. But 12 Zerglings are on the way here. Of course, Zerglings, they're just going to do a really good job of, well, they're going to look to just defend things. And Hellions will already poke on in, get a couple workers down. But nice around here from Reynor as the Queens do show up. Everything will be forced back. None of the Hellions will die, but they will take some damage. But now, oh, buddy, it's getting even better. So, Blue Flame is just about halfway done. We do have some medevacs on the way. 3 Hellions being made at a time. But this is not mech. Even though there is 4 gas on the map at this point, Stim is on the way here. This is a pretty cool build. So, Armory is on the way as well. So, we're going to see a massive, an absolutely massive Blue Flame Hellbat timing from Innovation just at about the 6-minute mark. As he hits with, should be one medevac. I don't think he has a second one out. It doesn't look like he's building anymore. Yeah, one medevac. And something like 12. Actually, no, he's going to drop a bunch of Hellions, turn him into Hellbats in the main base as he runs into the 3rd with another 8 to 10 Hellions with Blue Flame. So this is going to be incredibly devastating here. Now, Hellions showing it first. They say, oh, hey, you know what? We're just a Hellion drop. Hellbats are coming on in now, and Blue Flame has arrived. This is the innovation that killed so many Zergs back at the start of Heart of the Swarm when you had a Blue Flame by default. Blue Hellion drops, Hellbat drops were just so devastating. So, 6 workers go down initially. That's okay. And it looks like innovation here. He is going for Mag Field Accelerator, but I do believe this is a mistake. I do believe the intent there was to get drilling claws pretty quickly, as we do see triple Widowmine production behind this. Innovation, he just really wants Mag Field Accelerator. He has misclicked that the 2nd time this game. But now Stim is done. As, well, the Queens will find a bunch of Blue Flame Hellions, and yeah, Queens fight Hellions pretty well, but not when you're looking at 10 Hellions versus a Queen. So now we do have the Hellbots running on in here. Now, the medevac will go down. Unfortunately, good spore placement there for Reynor. But you have a bunch of Zerglings surrounding a bunch of Blue Flame Hellbats. That is not going to result in a lot of good energy, good vibes whatsoever. And the drone barbecue has commenced. The Hellions, they're going to get a decent amount of work done. 14 workers go down on top of the 8, I believe, that went down earlier for a total of 21. So 7, not 8. Pardon me. But behind this, of course, Innovation. His 1-1 is on the way. He's going up to a grand total of 5 barracks. And the pressure does commence. Once again. Alright, so now Innovation sharking around on the right-hand side. I don't know if this gets as much as previous run-bys have, although 2 Queens out of position, 2 Queens off creep are going to be a little bit problematic. And now Widowmine drops coming in. Of course, these Widowmines don't have drilling claws, so it's a bit easier for Reynor to be able to avoid this, but he's not avoiding this one, not really. And 12 workers will go down, 13 workers do go down. 13 workers for a decent amount of medevacs. This one actually only... Oh, they will all get out, but there we go. Banelings will be able to clean that up. So finally, Reynor, he stems the bleeding. He says, you know what? I'm going to be okay here. Now we have Drilling Claws on the way. Thor's on the way as well. As, yeah, he has seen that Reynor has decided to go for, well, go for Mutas in this game, as I believe he was able to see the Spire. So now, Reynor, he has Mutas on the way. 2-2 is not quite done for Reynor. 2-2, or excuse me, 1-1's not quite done for Reynor. 2-2 is on the way here for Innovation. So Innovation, he does have a timing window. It's not the biggest of ones, but, well, we'll see how quickly Reynor gets into his 2-2 behind this. He is lacking a decent amount of gas, and he has lost 34 workers in this game. So that by itself means that it is difficult for REYNOR to put himself into a really good position in this game. But REYNOR, he's at 93 workers now. He is at 5 bases. He has the economy that he has been looking for, and he is at that point where he can really start to trade well, or not start to trade well. You don't really trade efficiently with Mutiling Bane, not unless you're just really playing a good game, but start to trade against the Terran player in a way that he is okay with. Start to trade in a way that he is comfortable with. But now Innovation, this is pretty cool. He has, how many Hellbats does he have on the map? 9 Hellbats, all with blue flame. It means that the Zerglings that are going to filter in on top of the Bio Army are just going to get eviscerated pretty quickly. But now 2-2 is on the way, and that's about a 10-15 second timing window for REYNOR versus Innovation. Not really likely to play an impact in this game, but maybe Innovation can find some use to it. As now Innovation here up 40 army supplies. He gets his pressure on into the map, but now that is just license for REYNOR to put some pressure on. But with the Widow Mines here, those hidden Widow Mines on the wall, it does not look like the... Actually, no, the missile turret will go down, but now Innovation, he's got his push coming on in here. Good pre-splits on top of creep, of course, but the pre-splits are going to be there, and not a whole lot will die for the moment. As now we have the Thors firing away, and we're going to see more and more Banelings try to filter on in. But that is not exactly going to... Well, actually, that's going to be a really good connection. Never mind. The push now from Innovation has been slapped aside. The Widow Mine shots can maybe get something done here. But with the Queens firing away, Banelings getting on top of everything, Mutas will be able to clean up the rest of things. But that is just push number 1. Innovation, push number 2 is already on the way. This Thor does need to be repaired. I think Innovation does need to drop back for the moment. He has his 4th base. Actually getting his 5th base on the way. Planetary is done. Innovation, he's in an excellent economic position. Yeah, you see the triple arrow going down, which means he's down. It's down, I believe, like 750 minerals-ish. 750 minerals a minute, because of course each hero has about 250 minerals. 250 resources is kind of the math there, for those of you that were curious. Although I believe for gas it's a little bit less. I think it's more like 200. Anyway, more arrows means more economy. Now Innovation, he drops the mules, so suddenly the economic deficit is going to pop right back on up, because mules are a powerful thing. And now Innovation, he's got 3-3 on the way. This is that 2-2 versus 1-1 timing. Banelings through the speed zone are going to collect with just about anything and everything that Innovation holds dear. But the Thors will stay alive, and there's just not enough Zerglings here to really take that good fight. But now, oh, the Mutas, they're going to find some heavily damaged Medivacs here. And that means the Thor goes down, the Medivacs start to go down, the Marauder does go down, and this is going to be a really nice move here from REYNOR. That being said, though, we do not have an infestation pit. We do not have a hive on the way. So Innovation, this is that kind of inflection point. When we look at StarCraft, we look at timings, we look at these inflection points where the game hinges upon. These points where suddenly a player finds an advantage that they may not have had earlier. In Innovation, he is halfway to his. It will be 3-3 versus 2-2 of REYNOR, and REYNOR does not have 2-2 or 3-3 as even an idea at this point in the game. He's been under too much pressure, even as he is on 98 workers. He has been lacking in gas just enough that he cannot afford the infestation pit, cannot afford the hive, cannot afford 3-3. He will go for +2 ground air attack, and he will actually be able to do a significant amount of work here on this 5th base of Innovation, maybe even killing it off. We'll have to see what happens with that. But now Innovation crushing on in to this 3rd base, and those Widow Mine shots will be really good. So many Banelings do go down, but it looks like REYNOR, despite that, has enough Banelings to be able to do things. But Innovation's 5th base will be removed. So really nice sequence of events here for REYNOR, even as he does lose a decent amount of Banelings. He holds off the push, and he's able to snipe down the 5th base of Innovation here. As Widow Mine shot will go off once again, and that Widow Mine shot looks like it's just going to be barely enough to keep the missile turret safe, to keep the base safe here, as a bunch of Mutas will go down, and now Innovation, he's going to take a pretty good trade there. 3-3 is now 30 seconds, 20 seconds from completion, so that's going to be the timing Innovation's looking for as he's up 30 army supply. He's going to hit that really nice timing. That being said, though, REYNOR's creep is really good on the map here, and it's going to take a moment for Innovation to really be able to push forward into anything juicy, anything interesting, and he does have to be careful that REYNOR does not just hit him with a massive surround coming on in from every side, but instead REYNOR, he's very interested in just hitting a massive run by here into Innovation's 3rd. We'll take a look at that in a second as Innovation, he's pushing on in. We're going to have to see whether REYNOR can possibly clean this up. It looks like the Banelings are going to crash forward. They're going to take a pretty good trade for themselves, but it may not be enough. Not yet. Now, this run-by is getting tremendous damage done. So much work, so many SCVs are going down. And Innovation, he's going to have to rely on the rally for the moment. But Innovation looks like he has been able to penetrate the 4th base of REYNOR. We should see that hatchery go down. It is now down here, and now Innovation running on into the things. He's hitting this timing that we talked about, and this timing is probably the most powerful position for him in this game, as now Banelings, they're going to run on forward, but there is just too many Marauders. Now, Mutas are in the sky, and there's just not a lot of Marines yet, and if REYNOR can actually remove them, the Marines in the backline here, the Mutas will be able to clean up the rest of things, as there's just no anti-air. That being said, though, the Marauders, they're going to target the Baneling nest down, and that becomes a bit problematic, as we do have a full-on surround getting prepped here for REYNOR. Innovation up 30 army supply, up 40 army supply. But the Banelings are going to come crashing on in, and there's just no Marines left on the map. 16 Marines on the map to 8 Mutas, but there were no Marines with the army. They're all in the rally, so the Mutas eventually should be able to clean this up. That being said, though, how much damage will Innovation be able to get done in the meantime? As now the Marauders cycling on over to the third base here, and the Marines, they're coming in drips and drabs. So yes, there are 29, 30 Marines on the map, but they're not all with this army. So we will see the Marauders attempting to target this base down. They will not be able to get it, but they should be able to get this base on the left-hand side. No, it looks like actually there's just going to be enough here. And actually the Mutas, they're doing a good job getting so much value here, knocking down all the Marauders, knocking down all of these medevacs. But it does look like the Marauders will be able to stay alive long enough, and they do have 3-3, so they just shred armored units, shred buildings here, but they will not be able to take it off. 2 buildings almost died. Actually, no, the last couple of Marauders will be able to take out the 6 o'clock base. And now REYNOR, the income's equalizing. REYNOR just lost 2 bases. How many Mutas has he lost this game? 37 Mutas, 100 Banelings have died this game. REYNOR just really not trading all that effectively. Down 10,000 resources over the course of this game. And Innovation, he's got a really good economy now. So you really can't afford to trade as poorly as REYNOR has. Not anymore. And well, Innovation, he's got 3-3. And oh, those Winnowmine shots. 2 will go off. 2 Mutas will die. And REYNOR, he can't build Banelings for the moment. The Baneling nest only just now being remade, so that's why we're just seeing more and more Mutas on the way. 26 on the map. And that is absolutely a powerful Muta force. And if REYNOR is able to remove the Zerglings like he has been, that's a force that can absolutely be dominant. That being said, though, it's fragile. It's fragile as hell. It dies to Thors, it dies to Winnowmines. You can't afford to clump it up too much, and it absolutely dies to a cluster of Marines. 11 Marines on the time here. On the way at a time, 51 total Marines on the map. Now Innovation getting started with that multi-prong once again. A bunch of Marines on the left-hand side looking to maybe finish the job that Innovation started a couple minutes ago and knock that 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock base off from the face of the earth there. Now, REYNOR's doing a really good job. Notice he's refusing to take straight-on fights. Instead, what he's doing, he's finding the rallies of Innovation. He's killing off that kind of stuff, and that is forcing Innovation to maybe go into bad positions here. But now, oh no, Innovation, he's found the soft underbelly of the Zerg economy. So many workers going down, 24, 25 workers will die, as will the base. And that drop was so, or I guess we call it a run-by, was so successful here. And now, yes, the Mutas have found the 5th base of Innovation just a little, and they will be able to knock this missile turret down and knock down some SCVs for their troubles. But we're at the point of the game where Innovation, he's got mules. He has enough orbitals where he's not really worried about that. Now, he does want a good SCV count. He's not at the 10 orbital count that we saw Bjorn go to. He's actually only on 3, so actually disregard that. He does need to keep those SCVs alive, and we will see him start to remake them. But we will see, oh, the Widowmine shots just littered all over the map. It's just being REYNOR's arch nemesis. The thorn in REYNOR's side over the course of this game. And REYNOR is kind of only mining off of 1 base and a half here. His economy absolutely in the dumps. Only 1,700 minerals a minute. And Innovation, he's not mining a lot of gas, but we're at the point where doesn't really need a ton. Baneling's going to filter on in once again, but those Widowmine shots will remove them. And say, yeah, no. That you're going to need to do more than that, REYNOR. His Innovation, he's coming crashing on in. These Banelings, though, look like they're going to get a little bit better of a connection, but Innovation splits will be really, really good. And Innovation, he's up 50 army supply, and most of that army supply is on that right-hand side. The Mutas, for REYNOR, though, they are not there. So this is effectively 30 or 40 army supply sitting, actually trying to defend this push, but the Mutas doing a really good job of getting on top of the rally, forcing Innovation to maybe not push with his entire army quite yet, but now we have the army. It's all coming together. We see Innovation just sitting on the edge of the creep for the moment, but the Mutas, they force Innovation back. I think Innovation's well aware of the situation he's in, though, as he says, look, There's not a whole lot. I killed that base. You have not rebuilt it. This is your only mining base. I'm pretty sure at this point. I don't think he knows about the rich Vespine base on the left-hand side, though. So that could be something that could come back to bite him here, as Banelings will filter on forward once again. That is a lot of Banelings, by the way. 33 Banelings on the map. But, well, there's a lot of Thors here, and the Banelings do not want to connect to that. Only get the Marines, and this is a really nice free split. So, well, Reynor, he's just not going to take the best fight. Not really. Now, the Mutas, they are a thorn in Innovation's side here. They are forcing Innovation to not really go everything, commit everything that he has to this push. And actually, yeah, Mutas should be able to find this planetary if, well, actually, how many Mutas are left on the map? Only 13, down from a high of 26 earlier on. And now Innovation. He's boxed the Marines in. And these are, of course, their +2 Mutas. But these are 3-3 Marines. And 3-3 Marines shred Mutas. So a bunch of Mutas have died. Now we're down to 14 Mutas, because some Mutas died, but Reynor, he's rebuilding them, of course. And you know what? Reynor taking that left-hand side base, he's mining from 2.5 bases now. And he's in that's actually puts him in a pretty strong economic position. Because Innovations, he's only on 48 workers. He only has 3 orbitals. He's kind of lacking the mass muling that we generally see, but he's going to take a really good fight here. And now we have the parade push coming on in. This base from Reynor will be breached, and we talked about Reynor being in a decent economic position. Well, no longer. No sirree Bob, as that right side base will go down. Mita's looking to see whether they can get on top of the rally once again, but they will lose one of their number. And now Innovation, he's putting the hammer here. Hammer and tongs to Reynor here in this game number 3. In this deciding match of Group C Innovation, he's going to stim on in. Now, that's a lot of Banelings, but there is a Thor to buffer. There are Marauders to buffer as well. The Banelings will not make the connection they need. 100 army supply to 40 here. And yes, the Mutas, they're going to sit on top of this base. But, well, actually, I'm surprised they're not just going to sit on top of this base. Only two Marines on the defense. And looks like Reynor, actually, for the moment, is going to be able to affect the defense. But now we do have the Thors going up on the high ground here. And Thors, actually, they do a lot of damage. They only do have +1 armor, so they're not the best. They could be a little bit better. But now the rally, it's finding its way across the map. Innovation's kind of realized that he doesn't really care about the Mutas. He's just going to force Reynor to take the fight on Innovation's terms now. And yeah, he's going to lose some economy here. He will lose that base, but oh no, there's just enough Marines there to defend. Mutas will go down, and Innovation, Reynor, he's running out of things. Innovation taking a dominant position here. He's taken out another base, one of the last mining bases of Reynor, although realistically not mining all that much. And now Innovation, he has taken a base. He has a mass mule here on the rich Vespine base, and these 12 Banelings that are going to be on the map are perhaps Reynor's last. The Thors are going to look to tank all the shots, and GG Reynor! He's going to be dropped out. Innovation moving on to the playoffs.